Welcome everybody to the Nottaku Podcast. Today we are talking about random shit because we've run out of topics to talk about, so we're just going to talk about random shit.
Don't tell them that.
Oh no!
Oh wait, I forgot that was supposed to be a secret.
Don't let it sink in.
We haven't hit
the
like,
illusion
the
up.
podcast and immediately decided that we don't know what we're talking about, and so just randomly talk. And as a result, Ben has to work, and so he's not here. Bless him. I would, if my internet was good, play the funeral march, but my internet's not good enough.
Yeah, unfortunately, I don't have access to my usual repertoire of shit. I mean, it's okay, it's not like every other anime podcast I can think of eventually died because it ran out of topics. We'll just forget that eventual reality for now.
Don't let it sink in.
But Joe, I think I'm letting it sink in.
It's already in your eye.
Oh no. Oh my word. But who would win in the fight, the World or King Crimson?
Oh, for fuck's sake. So...
Who the hell are we?
Say the intro before I fucking piss myself.
So as we said, we're one person short, but there are 4 other people here. Who are they?
Oh my goodness. Hello, I'm Lewis. I'm the podcast equivalent of Shield Hero, dying and probably riddled with cancer.
Oh, wow.
Hi, I'm Joe, and I'm the podcast equivalent of the ending of Evangelion, the original one. When you first introduce them to your friends, everyone just goes down and goes, "What?" And they don't get it to begin with.
But no one's ever congratulated you on anything.
No, not at all.
I like Alastair sounding genuinely sympathetic there.
I like the fact that it went all quiet. Alice just went, "Ah." Oh, didn't.
I'm fairly sure that might have just been a yawn, which would have spun to be more positive for Joe's self-esteem.
I bring the sympathy to this podcast.
Thank fuck.
Oh dear, I'm Hugh. I'm the podcast equivalent of Godzilla, King of Monsters. There's not enough human elements to it, but there is a lot of monsters punching each other.
For the last time, Hugh, people over 6 feet tall are not classified as monsters.
Tell that to the Japanese when we visit them.
Yeah.
What, much like Godzilla.
There was a girl at my work today who was talking about the fact that I'm 5'9" and that makes it really problematic. And my 6'5" self looks down upon her, and I'm like, really?
You look down at this shit on your shoe.
Oh dear.
Well, and finally, I'm Alastair. I'm the podcast equivalent of the guy who, for some reason, can only make emo characters in character creation.
Yeah, you're embracing
Yes, big titty anime girls.
It's the fact that you made 2 of them, and I'm like, why are they, big titty goths? And you're like, oh, well, I didn't mean them to be big titty goths. And I'm like, well, how long did you spend? Oh, about 8 hours in character creation. And this is what you came up with.
Doubt. I was going to say, seriously, because anime makes everything look better, right? I mean, we've all watched cooking in real life and cooking on anime. And,
oh, yeah, cooking was great.
And anime food always looks better. I also like Mirai Nikki. But anime food looks better. I think the same thing happens to just about everything, including fucking emo chicks. Because, Hugh and I have discussed before that we both have a mutual appreciation for, suicidal people, and naturally, emos come naturally from there. But, my goodness.
I told you that in confidence.
Itty anime girls. It's alright, honey. It won't be on this earth for much longer.
To my defense, the Code Vein character creator doesn't let you alter tit size.
Does it not as well? Oh my! Of course it doesn't. Of course it doesn't.
That's not the thing I had a problem with. The thing I had a problem with was the fact you made them all kind of black-haired with some kind of gradient into a slightly brighter color and wearing leather clothing, which just made them look goth. It's like, I'm afraid I can't change certain aspects of the character, but we'll put this black mascara on and all the blush and get a bit of dye in here.
It's not my fault the game's about vampires.
Include big titties. You see, I quite like. I'll say, Hugh, you put way much more thought into that hair grade than I thought you did. I think somebody's appreciated Alastair's work of art a bit too much. So, I mean, we're talking about Code Vein. I applied for a beta code, didn't get one. I guess this is like a long line of fucking anime video games, and it's logical that Dark Souls should come on from there, because the Dark Souls community is just a bunch of fucking weeaboos anyway.
Look, don't talk about yourself like that, it's fine.
They've been pitching it for a goddamn year now as anime Dark Souls. I've never actually seen it as that at all.
It's not, and it's like if you're going into it expecting Dark Souls. It's not that. It's a JRPG.
You're gonna get
which
Bloodborne
has,
instead.
It's a
Yeah.
JRPG which has taken some Dark Souls aspects, i.e., it kind of looks like Dark Souls. It does the thing of like.
I remember those big titty goths in Dark Souls.
Well, the combat is the combat is the same. It's like the fact that you have to make it to the next checkpoint.
Stamina management, whatever. Yeah.
And at the end of the area, there's a boss, and when you defeat it, the words flash up on the screen, and it's all about dying and retrying. So
I see it more as like just a more JRPG version of GOTY, the way I'm looking at it.
Yeah, well, that might help because you've played GOTY.
But who would win in a fight between the world and King Crimson?
Oh fuck! I just gonna make a Dio joke. Does we have to realize? See, it's interesting we mentioned this because Code Vein goes to the whole vampire aesthetic. I think, let's be honest, the vampire aesthetic is fairly Western, because it's all about like Western aristocracy and everything. But we've also been getting a bit back into Bloodborne. Of course, we're all like fairly large Bloodborne fans. But Alistair, you've completed all of Bloodborne, haven't you?
Yes, I have.
Yeah, I
Even
was
the
gonna
Chalice
say,
Dungeons, which I will never do again.
Yeah, we've all done that. We've all done that trip.
I did it twice, but God, that was a mistake. But because it's interesting, because I think Bloodborne is like weirdly one of the most faithful adaptations I've ever seen to like depicting that sort of like gothic horror setting that I've ever seen. And it's weird because that's made by a Japanese company. Of course, it's made by one of the biggest Westerboos currently working in Japan. That is, Hidetaka Miyazaki. But I thought it was interesting because upon Hugh's recommendation recently, clawing this back to anime.
You actually watched a bit.
I've watched 3 episodes of Series the Jaeger, which looks like generic Netflix trash, and is actually quite good, and is a really nice representation of like turn of the century vampire stuff. I'm all over that turn of the century aesthetic, that sort of like Full Metal Alchemist.
That's the reason why I 100% recommended it to you.
Because I love that aesthetic. I mean, like my D&D games are based off that. Because I love the whole World War I sort of sailing. Like Violet Evergarden gave it a try, but the whole metal prosthetics thing were a little bit, gross. Also, it contained women, so I can't be having that. But but no, Series Diego was actually very good animation. I was just wondering, like, have we seen any other sort of like Eastern interpretations of Western bullshit? Because Lord knows we've seen enough Western interpretations of Eastern bullshit like around.
I mean, a lot of stuff that Western people have done a turn is, if you take superheroes as an example, like superheroes is a very Western thing.
Yeah, it is actually. And then you got My Hero Academia.
You've got My Hero Academia, but you've also got, there's Japanese animation companies that are making anime of like, I think it's like Batman and stuff. Like they are taking
Batman Ninja, which was fucking awesome and awful. At the same
it was
time.
such a weird combination, wasn't it? Of just like, how are we going to do this? Well, Batman goes to feudal Japan, and then what? Oh no,
mech fights. Yeah, mech fight. Fuck it.
With the monkeys.
The giant monkey mech suit where thousands of monkeys die per punch.
And then they had the wooden drawn. That was a weird movie.
But yeah. So you're right, Alistair. The superhero industry.
Also, like myths and legends. They take a lot of myths and legends from.
Fate. I mean,
like the art.
Yeah,
but it's not just in Fate. Like the Arthurian myth is used like in lots of different shows.
Yeah, actually,
you're right. The Kid Who Would Be King is a great movie.
Oh,
Why?
Why?
We were having a sensible topic and you bring that up.
We're talking about big titty anime girls, not about fucking PG-rated like English films.
Apparently, me and independent English movies that are like based around mythological stuff just kind of props itself in my head.
Yeah, apparently so. But yeah, no, you're right, because there's a whole Arthurian legend. I've seen so much stuff about Arthur. Weirdly, they also like gender-bending Arthur. I wonder if that's like a mainstay of Japanese culture, because they got all of the masculinity nuked out of them.
I think it's Fate did it first.
Gender bending is the most hilarious thing Japan can think of most of the time, isn't it, Hugh?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, men dressed as women is the funniest thing in the entire world. When I was in Japan and I watched this sketch show, there are so many sketches where the punchline was just, and then the man dresses as a woman.
I can see it now. Well, yeah, the thing is, as I say, this is a society which had all the masculinity nuked out of it, so that would be quite funny.
Yeah, I suppose.
Wow, I like how I made a joke and you guys like, yes, very good geopolitical commentary there, Lewis. Alright, calm down.
Respond to that. We're going to get fired, aren't we? Yes.
Yeah, absolutely.
And now moving on.
But yeah, no, the Final Fantasy
Big
games.
titty anime.
Who would win in a fight?
What do you...
Joe, go on.
No, it's fine. It's fine. No, just like literally any time the Final Fantasy and Square Enix by and large try and take any kind of urban setting, they very much always go to westernized style cities rather than your eastern influences. Yeah, the biggest one of that is Final Fantasy 15, where you only get to see it when it's completely destroyed. But the actual main city, Insomnia, it's completely modelled after like American style. So you got your proper block skyscrapers going everywhere. It's called Insomnia. Like, it's a city that never sleeps. It's literally just like meant to be New York style. So they really much like that kind of stuff for urban stuff. Whenever they try to go a bit more countryside feudal stuff, they revert to more Eastern things, because they've got the whole spiritual thing going there, which is much easier to define in an Eastern setting rather than Western, where we just get West Country accents and hicks.
Literally, the first place you go in Final Fantasy 15 is an American truck stop.
Yeah, I think it's more I think they tend to copy the sort of architecture stuff and then trying to ape, European themes and ideas, because you got Valkyria Chronicles, which is obviously about, the first Bolshevian fucking whatever it is conflict. European conflict. So obviously that's your ape and everything, but even you got stuff like Attack on Titan, which I'm sure we'll talk about.
It's based on Germany.
It's based on Germany because the whole thing is an exploration of ideas of Germanic fascism and the fact that the world of Attack on Titan is essentially a perfect thought experiment for fascist ideas.
Also, the names are very German.
That's but my point is like they're exploring Germanized fascism, which the only Asian. But like they're exploring.
That's literally the plot as well. I quite love that bit. It's just like, my God, she's the only Asian.
She's not even the only Asian. She's just half.
They're exploring Germanic fascism, which means therefore everything is inspired by Germanic themes, if you know what I mean. I don't think it worked the other way around. I don't think they went, we're going to make everything look like it's made of breaking clay and shit, and Mikaza's going to be the only easy-peasy Japanesey around here, and then we're going to explore Germanic fascism. I definitely think it was the first one, then the second.
So he wanted to explore Germanic fascism, and then the editor went, but what about the one Asian person? And he went, haha, that one, and then colored her hair in black.
And she'll be overpowered. Well, I mean, I'm actually looking into this now, but you're thinking, like, Bloodborne as well. I mean, the setting of Yharnam is, and like the very anglicized sort of way that everyone speaks in Yharnam is probably down entirely to the fact that it's exploring Gothic horror, which has got such links to London. I mean, Dracula is set in London and all that.
Yeah, I mean, you look at things like Fullmetal Alchemist does it. That does turn of the century very much just westernized parts of it, like the entire main civilization that that is based in is based on Western civilization, and then the outer civilizations that they've been oppressing are based on more Eastern and Central Eastern civilizations.
And then you've got your imperialism theme, and it's very obvious link to then jump to British style, imperialism.
Yeah, very much so.
There's even a certain extent of talking about like themes of greed in that, which is very common to themes of Western, because vampires are an exploration on greed and capitalist culture, and you can say the same thing for the Philosopher's Stone, where that is essentially you're literally melting
rocks.
It literally is. You're literally genociding natives in order to turn them into power. That is an exploration of imperialism.
There's also a reason why literally all of the 7 deadly sins exist and have a specific place. There's a reason why the leader of the country is Wrath. It just makes sense, doesn't it?
Johnny Imperial, as we call him.
Yeah, Johnny Imperial.
And of course, he's known as a Führer King, or like Führer President.
Yeah, he is the Führer.
He is just the Führer.
Yeah, so there you go. And then I know in the anime they
ridiculously.
And then then the original anime they then went to Nazi Germany, and I've no idea what actually happens after that. But I guess they had the idea in their head anyway. They might have had the idea. I mean, to be fair, I'd argue that nothing much happens in Fullmetal Alchemist Brotherhood anyway. I think that's I think Brotherhood could have shaved 20 episodes worth of material and not much would have changed.
What, by not going to the North Snowy bit?
Well, the North Snowy bit's fine to visit it, but it's like, look, it's Eastern Siberia, and it's like, great, yeah, we know that we're doing a big low trade, but like, cut those bits out. Cut out the fact that do you remember the 2 Chimera who turn into like main characters?
Yeah, they stay around for some reason.
Shit, it's the 5-0. Yeah,
Joe, they're on to you.
yeah. Like, literally, right? Those 2 stick around. Cut that plot element out entirely.
Let me find in my damn car.
Flesh, it's gone. It's gone. Flesh out the earlier plot line with Nina, because that was actually better in the original anime when they had 3 episodes of Ed going and learning how to be an alchemist. Flesh that bit out. Cut half the plot with Envy, because they are such a boring character. I don't even know what the gender is of Envy. If they're
But they're a giant green monster that acts as a good boss fight.
It's a big green monster called Envy! Fucking goddamn it. Cut that out. Cut the whole Eastern mysticism bullshit. And you
cut out this bit for the podcast.
No. Just cut the whole thing. We're starting again. But like, you know,
It's just an hour and a half beep.
I don't know how I got onto shit bashing this so much, but you could. You
I
could
like
cut.
it a lot. I
I'm
think
fine with
it's
it.
really
Yeah.
good.
We have no set topic right now. This is
I
perfectly
was
fine.
tempted to watch it again recently.
It's really so have I been. I really like it. I do enjoy it a great deal. It's just in dire need of an editor, because with more of a focus, that could be such a better show to watch. But it's very bloated in so many places. When you do your rewatch, every time a little plot point or something comes up, just think to yourself, you know, is this relevant? Or did this require the build-up that it has? I'd argue probably the only like majorly successful side character who gets any build-up is the doctor that, you know, who committed the genocides earlier in like the story. And then his son comes back and wants to be a doctor, and he's like, "Can monsters have a minute with their son?" I'm like, "Yep, cool, character arc done." Meanwhile, you got Nina. Sure, it's got shock value, but in the original Full Metal Alchemist, you spent 3 episodes with her and the wee fucking dog. 3 episodes of Ed learning to be an alchemist,
Quite a big dog,
and her looking up to
actually.
him. And to be fair, yeah, she is wee in comparison to the dog. Which is why when, you know, the 2 of them get fucking blended together, when I play polymerization in my fucking spell and trap zone,
I like to say they get juice drink.
they get juice straight. Yeah, there's loads of ways you can do it. It's a way more effective punch, because you know, a few episodes, meanwhile, in Brotherhood, it is 1 episode for going, here is little girl, hello, little girl, I'm now pup. Oh no, like,
Well, it's
nah,
more on the
fuck
idea of like, don't you feel sorry for small child and dog? Well, yeah, I
and that
kinda do.
that is the cheapest blow possible. That is cheap as fuck.
Whenever a movie or a TV show does that, where they just walk in and just go, but the kid feels sad, I always sit there and go, that is a low blow and it's working.
Dude, you're missing it. Fucking, what thing did we watch recently where there was the doggy woggy feel sorry for it?
Oh, Alita Battle Angel!
Yes!
And
Where
the
she's
doggy
wearing
woggy.
where the little doggy woggy gets fucking owned by the giant dude.
And they didn't have the balls to do it on the screen.
But what they
No.
did do was show her bending down, pressing her finger into the corpse of the dog.
Look at the doggy woggy.
People like dogs.
Aren't you engaged with that plot now? Look at the doggy woggy.
It's the doggy woggy. Well, to be fair, there's a doggy woggy that gets killed in Slaughterhouse Rules, coming to track available now.
And John
Yeah,
Wick.
so come track available on this channel. Yeah, John Wick's more central to the plot, though. The fact that Mr. Chips doesn't die. That's
No, he gets run over and then he
no,
survives.
he doesn't. Then he's alive. Anyway,
I
fuck it.
really don't. Anyway,
That is on our channel, so that is fine anyway. But yeah, so
it's not a spoiler.
regardless of how bloated it is, I think Full Metal Alchemist is definitely a decent exploration of it, though.
Do you know what my favorite ever depiction of gothic horror setting ever is?
For me, it'd be Bloodborne, but go on.
Absolutely, Bloodborne.
Bloodborne's my number 2. My number 1 is the Innistrad set from Magic the Gathering.
It's alright. I'd say it's a bit too tropey, but that's kind of the
It
idea.
kind of leans into the tropiness of it, and that's kind of what I like about it. That's why I really, really liked Return to Innistrad and Eldritch Moon, because they basically did what Bloodborne did and just went, do you want to make gothic horror even better? What? Eldritch horror?
I would definitely argue that the Magic the Gathering took more than a few notes out of Bloodborne's pages. Bloodborne
I'm
went,
pretty sure they were playing Bloodborne and then just went, what if they were Eldritch
I'm
monsters?
90% sure. Well, no, because that's the way. It's a transition of Gothic to Eldritch horror, and like the themes that come with that. And it's a very effective exploration of Western, particularly English horror.
It's a weirdly well put together transformation as well, because in your head you can almost go, no, I understand why that's happening.
There's also like if you ever look at the original like trailers and material for Bloodborne, there is zero content about the Eldritch material. Zero.
No, it's just werewolves.
It's just werewolves and blood and killing that shit. And
The
then
closest thing to any of it is the cleric beast, and even that's like barely
no,
getting
no,
near it.
and
Giant werewolfy, staggy beast.
well, the thing is, that's fine because the cleric beast and Vicar Amelia are based off this weird Norse legend, which is about like giant deformed reindeer creatures. But that's also gothic horror,
Which looks awesome.
I would say the first time in Bloodborne where you actually like
is ROM.
it kind of shifts is you get it's basically ROM, but you get teased about it earlier because
With the
when you
celestial
walk
emissaries
through
in the
Snake
woods.
Forest, there are
Yeah.
a couple of alien dudes down
And
there.
the snake guys, so the people that actually like have snakes burst out of their heads, and
I'd say the snake guys are still fairly gothic.
I don't know. It starts to change weirdly because it starts to go from a slow transformation to a much harder transformation.
I
Sorry,
mean, it's not to fucking 100. Let's be honest, because as soon as you kill Rom, you get Yarn and Queen, Red Moon, and what's the first thing you see after the screen comes out
a
from Fade into
giant eldritch god.
Amygdala, right there. It's like that is 0 to 100.
You go outside, behold a pale blue sky, and yeah.
If you get trapped by one of the amygdalas earlier, you kind of notice it first.
You know there's something going wrong,
You know
but
there's
yeah,
something
like
going on, but you don't know what it is, and that's the whole point of insight. Is the fact that
don't even give me
It's
started on
it's
mechanic.
also like the perfect little idea though, because it's the slow build up. It's what Eldritch horror should be. You know something's there, but it's something that you cannot explain. It is currently unfathomable. All you know is there's something big out there that's out to get you, and you can't explain it. And that's kind of like the essence of Eldritch horror. I'd argue, I think Eldritch horror has become much more about tentacles and big things and demons and horror and all that. I'd argue originally it's more along the lines of the unknown.
It's unknowable, and like the fact that there's tentacles and stuff's entirely based on Cthulhu, and I think even even then you were only basing on Cthulhu because Cthulhu was a water-based creature. It came from the ocean. And so everything is aped. And so people misunderstand Eldritch horror a fair bit. Bloodborne gets it right with lots of unknowable bullshit.
And plenty of water.
is that why is that where Eldritch because Eldritch horror is a very British horror? Is that comes from the fact that as British people, because they we're on an island and we used to do a lot of sea exploring, and the sea is deep and dark and whatnot, that we innate have a link to the fear of the unknown because of nature in us. I don't know.
And krakens and squids.
Bear in mind that when Eldritch horror is being kind of devised really by Lovecraft, the last thing which we hadn't explored yet was the oceans. They weren't completely mapped out yet, and given the fact that the Americans have come from that British culture, I think you're entirely right, Alastair. We're talking about Americans come from that British culture, and Britain has always explored the waves as that essence of exploration. So I don't think it's a coincidence that the two places that the three places where Lovecraft said here is where horror comes from. It was water, the space, and Antarctica.
The three places we didn't know about.
Yeah. There's also a bit of Amazonian jungle and things like that, but that was mapped out quite shortly thereafter. And it's no coincidence that then the stories from darkest Africa, air quotes, were no longer as interesting.
Slight tangent here. Lewis and I were discussing already, but Hugh, Alastair, do you know what? It's my favourite bit about East and Western childhood stories about monsters. Do you know what the biggest difference is between them?
I'm assuming Eastern ones usually have some kind of moral, so it's usually a hey, you should do this or this happens. Whereas Western style, it's just kind of don't go outside.
It's far more basic than that. It's just the positioning of the monsters. In all Western things, as a child, where were the monsters?
Oh, in Western things, the monsters are more. I think underneath you, whereas in Eastern above you.
Exactly, under the bed or in the closet. In all Japanese things, they're on the ceiling. Do you want to know why that is?
Go on.
We have spaces under our beds. Japan sleeps on the floor. Tatami mats. So they didn't have a place where the monsters died. Under there, and it was just where are we going to be vulnerable from? Above us.
Yeah.
And that's just one of my favourite little differences in just culture.
which is pretty cool. I was gonna say here, like, come on, don't tell me about like morals. I mean, you've obviously heard the story, you know, the Japanese boy who cried Chinaman. Like, you know, we've got an equivalent here in the West.
No, but I mean like monsters. Like the whole idea is like vampires, werewolves, banshees, all that sort of thing.
Greed, the dual nature of man and women throwing away their children.
Of course, the 7 deadly sins. But
who would win in a fight?
It would be King Crimson, obviously.
Yeah.
No, but like, you know what I mean? Like the monsters in Western folklore, it is more along the lines of don't go outside the village, they'll get you. Whereas in Japanese folklore, it's a lot more along the lines of if you don't eat your greens, the green eating monster will come and steal. It
must be said, like fucking, you look at like I'm looking into it, but you got like European like folklore. It's like vampires, well then allegory for greed, people who own everything. Werewolves, the dual nature of man. What's Japanese and Chinese shit about? Oh, if you shake a pine tree on this day of the year, it'll get pissed off at you and steal your shoes. Like fucking, they had significantly pettier problems in the East.
My Uncle Derek needed shoes somehow.
You're going into Shintoism there and then the seeing spirit yokai and everything kind of thing, though. Like that's just they did have a story for everything.
Yeah, but you know what I mean. It's like it feels like in the West, like you know, like we had bigger problems. Like this, like we had to. Yeah, we're talking about the dual nature of man.
Suck my blood.
You mean we made up bigger problems?
Meanwhile, 5-year-old Johnny, if you don't leave out a banana peel on the Day of the Dead, the banana monster's going to come for you, and it's going to make sure you don't shit healthily for the next week. Like,
I love the concept of that, of just like random monsters that do random things. Like, imagine if Bloodborne had done that, where it's just like, is this monster going to kill you? Nah, but it's going to make sure that your switchblade gets really, really jammed every time you try and change it. It's
God! That'll be death to me and Lewis, just idly. Ching, ching, fuck!
Well, now I'm imagining New York style Shintoism, which is like if you don't call a cab 3 times on this particular day, the ghost of the yellow will come after you. It means that all your telephone calls will be charged double for the next year.
I was imagining New York Shintoism being like a bunch of yokais and onis just walking down the street, like clicking.
Well, like a doo-wop,
like West Side Story style.
Yeah,
yeah. Just like, oh no, here comes the oni.
Surely be East Side Story. Anyway,
I'm still watching Shield Hero, and I don't know why.
Same as I am. Stockholm Syndrome.
Yeah, Alastair, you're watching it too, as well, aren't you?
Yes, but I'm watching it unironically. So.
Right, Lewis. I'm gonna pose a question to you.
Oh no.
So, Lewis, let's imagine here that you're a writer of a successful television or movie.
I mean, I am, but go on.
Let's say television. You've got a main character, right? That main character, upon turning up to your TV show, has a problem. A main antagonist appears, which is the result and the cause of that problem. You have a baseline that is this entire story of your character fighting against this antagonist, having problems, overcoming these issues, and you finally complete the character arc of your character, finally accepting that problem, dealing with it, and the antagonist, who is the only true antagonist you've ever introduced, is finally done and dealt with. What do you do?
Easy. Introduce a new antagonist who kills the previous one to set up a new power struggle.
3 more episodes, motherfucker! No. Oh, my word. Shield Hero ended in episode 21 and then looked around and went, oh crap, we've still got more episodes. Where's that nerdy kid with the I Love Isekai shirt? And he's already walked off because he thought he only had 20 episodes to do. And everyone's just worried going, oh no.
No, it's still happening.
They just look down at the deformed lolly chicken and go, oh, what did we do last night?
Yeah, Shield Hero, it's not a good anime by my stuff, but it had a very proper ending last episode. Like, it was a very good ending. Like that tied up everything very, very nicely, and if they stopped it there, I think I would have been fine with it in the entire season.
Let's be honest here. The story of him fighting against the waves, are they called?
Yes.
That's not the story. The story was him fighting against the country
the system.
Now that that's done, what do we do now? Like, I don't quite understand it. And this is just the thing, because I've noticed that other anime do this. And it's way. I was just like, I recognize another anime that's done this, and then I started to think, and more anime started to appear where I'm like, oh no, this is a common problem where they finish and then go, what do you mean we're not allowed to finish?
I can tell you the source of this problem.
Is it called Shonen? Is it called Shonen Jump? Not letting people.
No, it's not called Shonen Jump. It's called light novels.
This is the problem. Like, okay, here's a couple of examples.
No, it's called popularity makes money.
I think that's exactly what it is. But here are a couple of examples that I thought of. Food Wars ends an arc where the main villain gets defeated and then goes, but we're still a really popular manga, so let's continue on and not finish the character development, despite the fact we probably should have.
Speaking of which, perfect point to put in the news. There's only 3 chapters left of Food Wars.
Oh, wait, really?
Yeah, there's only 3 chapters.
Thank God.
I think they're going to go.
Thank God.
Go on. They probably will.
Oh my God! Thank God we can finally kill it. I love that show, but my God, does it need to die? Shimonetta did it. Do you remember? Did anyone watch A Boring World where the concept of dirty jokes doesn't exist?
I love that show, and what I know what you're going to say, and I'm just going to say now, I count that, even though it isn't listed as one, I count that last episode as an OVA.
But it's weird because it just kind of turns like they conclude a good arc at episode 11, and then episode 12 it just goes mountain adventure. I don't know. We've got an
theme park
left. It's just so weird. And there are bigger ones to do it as well. It's a
self-contained episode that doesn't it's not like it starts anything new. It's just a self-contained episode like an OVA.
But why do it then? It's just strange because you've rounded it up.
They could have fitted that in halfway through the season, and that would have been absolutely fine, and they would have finished on a really strong ending. But I think they just forgot.
It's just weird, and lots of them do it in season 2, where a season 1 ends on the perfect ending, and then it just kind of goes and more. Lewis, you've yet to watch and refused to watch Darker Than Black season 2 because that's the issue it has, isn't it?
Well, it's the thing is, it's there's so many shows that do this because the problem is where do you draw the line? Because something like Darker Than Black is made by the same people and is somehow drinking fucking Drano in comparison to going on a blowjob powered motorcycle for the first season. So it's but I only know that by word of mouth. For all I know, I could watch it, it'd be all right. But then where do you draw the line? Because then I refuse to watch that. But then again, there's One Punch Man, which probably should have ended after season 1 because it had the perfect ending.
No, yeah, this is the other example I was going to use.
But second season's not bad. It's just nowhere near as good. But should it be a relative thing, or is it
We also talked about probably the most egregious example to you guys, at least last week with last week. I'm trying to make it so we got continuity.
Last month.
I know, last month with Bakano. You as I said, it's my number 2 anime of all time. I do agree with you that it goes on a few episodes longer than it should, but it's still brilliant for those things. But it does go on, as you say, it finishes when everyone gets off the train and carries on.
And then Mouse. I've not actually watched Bakano, so I don't actually know what happens afterwards.
Wrench.
I'm gonna
Johnny Wrench. The thing.
Let's call him Dante.
But linking back to what Alastair said. But what it links back to what Alastair said though is because Bakano's manga and light novel adaptations are enormous. The manga is absolutely huge of that thing. Same with the novels about it. So they clearly adapted 12 episodes, not realizing they'd hit the break point. And I think that's where, the difference between that and a show like, say, Dororo, which had time to, think, well, we're going to end the mid-season here, so on and so on. So, yeah.
Well, I think the thing is the problem from our perspective is we have a very different perspective on this as say, the Japanese audience does. In the perspective of anime, apart from a few cases, but most cases, anime is essentially an advert for the source material.
It's a one and done.
It's that's what it is, and I can tell you exactly why Shield Hero is going on for another 4 episodes is because, well, the reason is anime don't tend to stop on episode 21 because it's a weird number. They're doing it in light novel order. It's not like they could shift the next light novel earlier.
Why don't we just add in an episode in the middle of it that's just some kind of interesting, fun little side quest like we did earlier in the season?
Filler is a dangerous thing to get into, Hugh.
And then you complain that it's filler.
I was going to complain about this show regardless. I was just waiting for the opportunity.
Perhaps we needed some kind of animation in the middle, which is like, an original standout from the source material, and it's a video, obviously. It's got some kind of original video animation, an OVA, if you will.
Maybe, or if you can't release it on video, maybe internet, so we could call it an original net animation, or an ONA, if you will.
Yes. Yeah.
Anyway,
it couldn't happen. It just couldn't happen.
Getting back to my point.
Yeah,
anyway, so basically, Shield Hero is going to go on for another 4 episodes because it's going to introduce the next step of the story, and then of course it's going to go like, right. I'd be very surprised if it probably doesn't announce a season 2 at the end of it, because they did the same thing for Slime, and if Slime gets a season 2, I don't understand why Shield Hero won't.
Slime is ridiculously popular, though. Like, it's.
I thought Shield Hero was popular regardless of our views about it. I thought it is doing quite well.
It is.
Oh well, I mean,
well
the one guy that watched one of our episodes thought it was the best.
Yeah. So, but the ending is kind of like, right. Now, everybody, go buy light novels.
I don't want to. To be fair, I did literally buy the most recent volume of Dan Machi recently because the new season of that's coming up, and I wanted to read light novels of it because I like ruining things for myself. Because that's a weird thing that I do. I don't know.
I do it too, don't worry.
I like the fact that filler is becoming something which just kind of gets shoved in to the middle of seasons, and everyone complains about it, except when it's done as a movie, and then everyone thinks it's the best thing ever. So the My Hero Academia movie is just filler, and everyone was like, "Oh, this is amazing!" Like, it's just filler. When One Piece did it, and when Naruto did it, you all complained.
I mean, let's not even go there with Naruto, One Piece, Bleach, because those were entire seasons of actual stuff. I think it's got a weird one, but movies are inherently, I think, different when it comes to it, because it's really hard to shoehorn in a movie to be part of your plot, just when, like, because it doesn't fit into that episodic format that the rest of, like, anime is gotten used to now. Putting in a movie that's taken years to develop, they're not going to be able to follow it.
So what they do is you do what Konosuba, Monogatari, and Fate have done, and just made a movie that's an arc.
An entire arc by itself, yeah. I think that's fine. You can't do an actual quote-unquote filler one.
I was gonna say the movies that can get away with it are stuff that's based off a light novel source material, because you just take a light novel as a movie.
Yeah, they've got an entire complete
if you have
story. Something
that's based off a manga fluctuates too much to... It's harder to fit that into you have a mix between between normal anime episodes and a movie format. Whereas light novels, it's very easy to do because you can just basically be like, right, because this season of the anime is these light novels, then the next light novel is the movie, and then the light novels after that are the next. So it's easier to segment it that way, which is what Konosuba's doing, and what Bunny Girl Senpai is doing. So, like, it can be done, but it's mostly done with light novels rather than manga.
Also, with ones like Konosuba, I think they can get away with it even more so, because while there is, like, loose interjections between each arc, a lot of the time you wouldn't need to have known what happened in the previous arc to get what happens in the next one.
Fair enough. Do you know the show that does the best filler out of any show that I've ever seen, to the point where I actually prefer the filler to the normal story?
Squid Girl?
No, Squid Girl's all manga.
Code Geass is pretty good filler.
Code Geass has got good filler, but it's not got a source material. So no, it's Gintama. Gintama has excellent filler. The filler in Gintama is arguably better than the actual source material. The source material is really, really good, but my favorite episodes of Gintama are all filler episodes, because the artist and the creators of the anime just come together and go, wow, what stupid stuff could we come up with? And they just make random things. Like, the most boring episodes of Gintama, well, whatever boring is considered for Gintama, still like a good 6 out of 10. But, like, the worst episodes of Gintama are ones where they're just like, here is a really, really serious plot that's doing somewhat silly aspects. And I'm like, this isn't where you excel, Gintama. Let's talk about the Neil Armstrong cannon, or whatever it's called. That's just a running gag in the entire thing of just a cannon that's shaped like a penis. Like,
I get the Big Johnson. I guess Gintama can get away with it a little bit, because it's one of the very sort of like that thing is tonally all over the place, but like, I don't know if you can get away with it.
Oh yeah, well, that's the problem with that.
But like, I don't know if you could get away with that in another show, like like Konosuba, because despite everything else, Konosuba is fairly tonally consistent, despite everything else.
I mean, the only thing, like with Konosuba, it doesn't do filler in the actual shows. It has 2 OVAs, which are anime original.
I've only watched one of them, and it was
Slight,
relatively funny.
which slightly annoys me because they could have just adapted the fucking chapters in the light novel that they skipped, but no, they didn't.
We have had this conversation.
Yeah.
I think me and you talked about the fact that one of those skip chapters could have just been the movie, but then we decided.
Well,
that
no,
actually...
it's too short for the movie.
Is that the Kazuma joins another party?
Yeah, that's the one.
That part of the book was amazing. Yes, I am 100% with you on that, Alastair. That was incredible.
That is the funniest chapter in that first light novel. It's not adapted in the anime, and it annoys the hell out of me. They did the fucking succubus chapter instead.
It's weird. It's just what happens when you've got these long adaptations.
You know, much as I do, that the succubus are very important to the plot later on in a very big reveal storyline.
Good point.
Is it where Johnny Konosuba is a suck?
Yes, that's exactly what it is, Lewis. I'm glad that you're positive deduction. And
I mean,
strong.
it's this. They're inherently important for things.
It's important, but let's leave it at that. As we said, we're not going into light novel spoilers. We said about that earlier, didn't we?
Good point. In which case, I shall pose a different.
The Conclave has agreed.
In which case, I shall pose a different question. Gentlemen, who would win in a fight between King Crimson and the White?
I actually think it's neither, and I think it's the Crimson Chin.
Right. Let's be real. Right, we've got a stand whose power is time, and another stand whose power is ignoring time. Whose stand is ignoring time.
Right, here's the thing, because in the manga it is claimed, and in the anime it's claimed, that King Crimson is unbeatable one-on-one, even though he gets beaten one-on-one later on, but that's not the point. Spoilers, I suppose. You knew he was going to lose. He's not Poochie.
But that was my gold experience Requiem, as I recall.
Yeah, anyway, for those of you who actually like watching JoJo and didn't know that, he was going to change it, whatever. Right.
For those of you who didn't know that the villain was going to lose in JoJo, would you kindly, reattach your fucking brain cells?
I don't actually know if I've heard it a fair few times now. Is this an actual thing? Is the world's power actually just the rest of the Joestar family's powers? Because we see Dio using a spirit photo, and he's able to stop time, which could have been Star Platinum's thing.
We don't know. I think the idea is it's either Star Platinum's thing or it's Jonathan's thing. I think
it's supposed to be Jonathan's thing because it's JoJo logic. Don't worry, Alastair. I'm as confused as you are, and I've watched the show.
Jotaro and Dio's worlds are different abilities anyway. But the problem is, of course, is that Araki forgets that. So never mind. Surprising absolutely no one.
Absolutely. Do you remember when Bites the Dust was supposed to be set up to have a bit where he saves? I don't know, whatever. Sorry.
Fuck it. We are not doing this now. The other thing I've been watching recently in other news is I, on a very long train journey back the other day, downloaded and watched the first 3 episodes of Erased on my phone.
Oh, right, Erased, right.
Yes,
sorry.
I was going to say
Re-raised.
which is Re-Erased, which is I've seen it stylized as, and there's Re-Re, which is the name of the opening, which is very good.
It's a good opening.
And Asian Kung Fu generation, I think. But
yeah, it is.
Here's the crack, gentlemen. I watched the first episode of Erased a while ago. I thought it was bad.
The first episode of Erased is weak. It's a fine setup, which kind of goes, here's the actual plot. But everybody straight up agrees that the first episode, and as a result, the first 5 chapters of the manga, were a completely different story to the rest of the manga. And the mangaka went, actually, I've got a better idea, and changed it.
Yeah, so here's what you do. You don't do the first 5 episodes, because the premise is just go back to when you were 10 and find out who abducted so-and-so because they kill your mum. Done! I've saved you half an hour, gentlemen. Saved you half a fucking hour, right? Done, right?
Right. It's just a good series once it goes.
I gave up on it, and it was when Hugh said to me, dude, watch it, and I was like, oh, fine. I think it's gotten, more credit than I think it's due. Turns out it's good. Episode 2 and 3 are good. They're perfectly fine. I'll keep watching it at some point. Very Japanese, but that's that's quite nice to see. But this is coupled recently with one of the worst endings to any TV show of all time.
Oh no! Chernobyl.
Yeah, with Chernobyl. Did you know that Bran is the premier of the USSR at the end of Chernobyl?
I wouldn't put it past him, to be honest.
No, but basically, this is past Game of Thrones, just got one of the worst endings of all time. And basically, I thought we'd just discuss openings and endings, because anime has got some good ones, anime's got some bad ones. But critically, like, I've not seen many shows shoot themselves in the fucking foot more than I have done in anime, because it seems like some anime series, which are very good, don't know how to open. And, like, it feels like there's a certain degree of risk when you try something that's not, because, right, Reerased I'll call a generic opening, which is bad because the rest of the series is good, for example.
Yeah.
But I think it takes significant testicles to then do, like, what ReZero did, which went, here's 80 minutes of exposition because Lord knows we need it, and then we go. That's weird. I've not seen any other show really do that, but that required confidence and could have easily backfired. So, I mean, I guess just talking about openings and endings, really, because...
do you know what a show that did that really, really kind of weirdly was? Arpeggio of Blue Steel has a really, really weird opening that's generic and high schooly, and then in the second episode goes, oh, no, hang on a minute, we've got interesting stuff, and hands you the political intrigue and the ships that have created human models to try and understand how humans think, and the political intrigue of all that stuff, and then the implications of it. And I'm like, oh, this is really, really interesting. Why did you do the first episode? And it just kind of looks at you and goes, no, we just thought you were in it for the subs.
Yeah, because it had the first episode is kind of, as you say, a bit of a weird one. Like, it tries to introduce your main cast and tries to show what the premise is. Unfortunately, submarine fights are quite boring.
They try and make them more interesting by making them float above the ocean and giant gravitational guns.
And the corrosive warheads or whatever it was.
Oh, God. Yeah. It's a corrosive warhead. What does the corrosive warhead do? Well, it's powerful enough to break through their shields. So it's just a normal warhead then. Yeah, basically.
But I'm definitely with you, yeah. After that first episode, it's much, much stronger. Also, side note, as we're talking about openings as well, the actual physical opening of the show. Savior of Song by Nano.
Oh, dear. Savior of Song is great.
I remember watching the first few episodes of Arpeggio Blue Steel. I like the art style, although it was a bit odd. I remember I started watching it when they introduced, like, the second or third, like, big tittied anime submarine. And for lack of a better term, I believe I made a noise like, oh, because I realized at that point, oh,
this is what they're doing.
This is it? Okay, right, yeah, this is it, okay. Since then, I'm fairly sure I've masturbated to a lot of Arpeggio Blue Steel characters.
Oh, God.
But I couldn't honestly say if I've watched more of the anime.
It was probably Kantai Collection here.
Yeah, probably.
There's many. Like the opening, though. Very good opening.
They do that, but kind of they started doing that and then kind of stopped and went, hang on a minute, do we just keep on introducing girls? And they went, no, I say we just explore these. And I'm like, yeah, fair enough. The movie did the
and there we go. It's almost like the opening didn't establish that well enough and it lost my interest.
Thing is, though, it fell back into that problem because in the movie it just went, hey, look, it's the school council of girls and ships, and everyone just kind of went, why? And they were like, because it was in the manga and everyone seems to like it. And everyone shouted, no one liked it, get back on with the political intrigue stuff. And they went, what? I can't hear you over this girl that has a fang.
Yeah, it's a lot of political intrigue stuff, and it was also kind of as a subplot, just as you say, it was a nice character study of just humans, just all of these ships, these AIs that just didn't really know what it was to human, and were literally studying it as they went along to become better at killing them. Unfortunately,
yeah, I love that. That's a concept, though. Why do you want to become more human so we can get rid of humans? Oh, that's kind of cool.
It's like as they literally, I think it's kind of word for word they say it. It's just like if they'd had the same level of weapons and armor as the humans in the start of the thing, they would have lost horribly because humans had strategy. They had the unbreakable shield and the spear that pierces anything, and they had both of those and consequently won.
I also like the drill that pierces the heavens.
Yes.
Sorry, that's one of the ones, isn't it? Like it didn't have a particularly good opening, and it ended up becoming really good. There's a few. I think the problem is I'm becoming a lot less caring about shows that have a crap opening. If the episode 1 is bad, I just don't watch it anymore. Like, I know the 3-episode rule exists for a reason, but considering that anime is like a seasonal viewing thing that people do as a whole, if a show has a really, really good episode 2 or 3, I will hear about it. So, like, my roommate is a cat. I watched the first half of the episode and went, "Oh god, this is boring as hell." Walked away, and then like 4 weeks later, someone went, "Hey, this anime is really, really good." And I went, "All right, fair enough. I'll give it another shout." And it ended up being really good.
It's because you stopped at the point before you saw the cat's POV, didn't you?
It literally is, but that's the point. We're like, okay. Here's the thing: the cat's POV is the best part of the show. Well, what do? Well, why don't we spend 20 minutes of the first episode not in the cat's POV? Why? We want to just establish a dynamic between the two. Yeah, but it's also really, really boring. Let's cut between them like one every 2 minutes, and then do something different.
I would argue, however, in that show that the cat's POV wouldn't be as good if you hadn't have seen the human's POV first.
No, I know that's good, but do that for episode 2 and 3 onwards.
Transition should have been quicker.
Yeah, we should have had a quicker or more choppy transition in the first episode to establish this is what we're doing, as opposed to just having 15 to 20 minutes of sad human with no comedy, no real investment in the character, because he just turns up and goes, "I am sad human," and my response is, "Hi, sad human, I'm not watching." Because I didn't care. If you have a sad character in the opening episode, do something interesting, because I don't care about your sad character if you don't give me a reason to care about your sad character.
I mean, that was Shield Hero. I know we've gone back to that. That's Shield Hero for me. Like, the first episode, I was so bored. I dropped. I could not get, like, even slightly interested in it. Then I heard, as we all did, the next couple episodes, really good. And then it shut the bed again. But, like, as you said,
it collapsed off the cliff.
But as you say, like those first few episodes were really good, bar the first episode. I think Shield Hero has the weakest opening of anime I've seen for a long time.
It was pretty bad.
There's a reason why the first episode of ReZero was double length, because if you literally take the first half of that episode, nothing new or substantial happens. It's only in the second half of that episode where Subaru actually dies for the first time.
It's almost as if they knew what they were doing.
It was like, yes, the reason this episode is double length is
because it has to be
to get to the point where Subaru starts dying, and then we go, oh.
It was also just good because it made you have half an hour with these characters and to develop the relationship and their personalities,
and then fucking murder them.
And so you cared by the time they got murdered, and you were like, oh my, this is a thing.
This does lead to what I'm saying as my initial hypothesis, which is just that anime seems to struggle with openings unless they take a risk, and those risks quite often don't pay off. It requires a lot of competence for them to pay off, like this case.
Another show that actually had a decent opening compared to a really good opening compared to the rest of the show. I think we've mentioned this before. Is Sword Art Online? The first episode of Sword Art Online
absolutely hype. First 2 episodes, I'd say.
The first 15 episodes of Sword Art Online are good. Well, with the exception of like the fishing episode, but we don't really count that episode.
No, I'm with Alastair here. The first 2 episodes of Sword Art Online, incredibly good. You got your first establishing episode where they establish your main character, your inherent plot, the threat of said inherent plot.
Wait a minute, you're not a girl.
Yeah, and then you're not 17. Yes, we know that one.
It's a good joke, actually.
It's a very good joke.
It's a good catfishing joke.
Once more enhanced by the abridged series.
Oh, absolutely. Where they actually stay together.
And then you've got the second episode, which introduces your sub character, and it shows her to be incredibly competent, and shows like all of these things, and shows your again subplot of are the beta testers the bad guys, and all the stuff with the hiding stuff, and like the inherent hate of your main character, which shows the conflict really nicely. And yeah, it just comes together really, really nicely, and it's definitely an incredibly strong start.
Knows what it was doing. Like, it knew what it was doing. It knew how to establish its world. What about shows then that have a really bad ending? Like shows that start strongly and then weak towards the end.
What do you count as ending? Are you saying
episode,
or is it ending already counts when it shits the bed halfway through the show?
Right, you can just talk about Darling and the Franxx if you want, buddy.
Well, yeah, the ending shit. But...
Exactly, I knew this is where we were going. Cabaneri did it for me. Cabaneri has a really strong 11 episodes. I was really excited for the 12th episode. This is Cabaneri Giant Fortress, by the way. And then the final episode's just really anticlimactic. It's just a bit boring. Just doesn't really do much.
Well, I didn't even make it that far.
Me and you've had this conversation about Bieber, haven't we?
I left when Bieber arrived.
We could only accommodate 2 human beings in the same scene.
Cabaneri's in my time machine of things I need to go back and watch, because it's one of the ones I do want to watch, but
I liked it up until the final episode, where it just kind of went, what are you going to do here, Cabaneri? I'll do something. What's the something you're going to do? And I'm going to have a giant shambling monster. Is it going to be a particularly threatening giant shambling monster? No, not really. You're going to have any kind of action scene? No, not really. Okay. Thanks, Cabaneri.
Hey, it almost brings back to what we were saying before. In quite a few cases, there's some shows which just should have shot themselves in the head before they finished.
It's just weird, isn't it?
I'm fine with open endings. I don't like cliffhanger endings because I think it shows that it's just the studio was trying to bank on a second season for a lot of shows.
Gynax, what?
To be fair, I think the Pantene Stocking second season was supposed to be a joke about the fact we were never getting a second season, and everyone's just kind of taken it the wrong way.
Probably.
No, I don't know. This is the thing, isn't it? It's weird. I also don't like cliffhanger endings, especially when cliffhanger endings happen in like books and stuff, like the Black Bullet light novels end on a cliffhanger ending because the guy who wrote them saw the reviews for the anime series and they weren't good, and so he just went on. Yeah, so he just went, I'm not writing them anymore. Then they went, wait, hang on a minute, what? We like the light more? No, I'm not writing them anymore, and he refused, and he hasn't written anything since.
Wasn't there a game developer who did pretty much the same thing?
Probably a lot of game developers have done the same thing, let's be honest.
Like the manga builder of applying the handbrake and fucking yourself into a wall before you keep the journey
going.
will
Kill us both.
Yeah, just like, well, I see no one likes what I'm doing here. No, it's fine.
Boo boo!
Yeah. There's so many shows that do that. So many shows.
The thing is, I feel like there's a lot more shows. There's a lot more shows out there that get the ending wrong than do get it right.
Absolutely.
And it's a lot of different reasons sometimes, but I do think the ones that actually do get it right are the ones that don't overstay their welcome. They're the ones that, the original creator has their idea of what they want to do, and they successfully do it from beginning to end without stretching it out or extending it for trying to get more money out of this thing, which normally ends to the point of, if you take the mentality of you keep writing until you run it into the ground, at which point, of course, it's going to be a shit ending because you've run it into the ground.
Yeah,
dude, I also hated the final season of French and Saunders.
Oh, well, that's a really, really off-kilter reference.
Really, it is a really off-kilter reference.
Well, I was gonna say it's the weird sort of thing where it's like planning for your ending is like enormously important, and I mean that's what we almost said on last week's podcast where we talked about Toradora, and the fact that that very clearly had its ending
last week as well.
Yes, I did, with massive emphasis on it, like a joke.
Got it last 2 weeks ago.
In the industry, we call that a callback.
In the industry, we call it a post-it note.
Oh god. But basically,
who would win in a fight?
Oh, no! For God's sake.
So we said that planned its ending. I think there's quite a few decent shows that planned its ending. Then there's the unfortunates of working in the anime industry, where it's like there's the guy who did Bleach, who basically had up till the end of season 2 and was like, well, that'll be a great fitting in for the series, and then Shonen Jump went, no.
Shonen Jump does that to everything. That's the problem Shonen Jump has.
Oh no, and that's what I'm saying. I'm saying that is symptomatic. There are many cases where very talented people had an ending planned, and then Shonen Jump came in with the belt and said no. So then they had to keep writing it, and then they got driven into the fucking earth. It's like you got to get that magic spot of being like, say something like Fate Zero or whatever. We're like, right, there's a few different ends to this, right? You can either be not popular, and therefore no one gives a shit about your ending, so you can end it well. Just popular enough that Shonen Jump takes you and then, fucks you in the arse and then makes you ruin your ending. Or more famous than Shonen Jump can tell you what to do and then you get to pick your ending.
My favorite example of that is Nisekoi, that was in, weirdly enough, Shonen Jump. Like, everyone forgets that Nisekoi was a Shonen Jump manga, where the guy or the girl who wrote it, I honestly don't know / care who did, you can tell had a load of ideas of what they were doing, because pretty much every single story beat, with the exception of 1 or 2 odd chapters, in the first 6 or 7 volumes are just a story and building on it and adding that intrigue. And then in about volume 7, the just kind of went, okay, I think I'm done now. And Shonen Jump turned around and just went, no. And he was like, okay, kept writing for 20 more volumes. And was like, I'm kind of getting into just making this kind of, gag manga that every so often just kind of adds a little bit of intrigue. This is kind of end it. What? Shotgun bolt to the head.
End now.
It. You've got 3 chapters. What? 3 chapters. The final one can be 50 pages if you want. End it.
So, look, so you mentioned Phase Zero's ending there. Right.
Yeah.
How do you feel about not exactly shoehorning, but prequel endings. You've already got an established point you need to finish. How do we feel about people who do that?
I'm fine with prequels. I've always been fine with prequels.
I'm fine with prequels,
like
but the fact that
prequels.
you've already got your ending already set. Like, you can't change that. No matter what.
Wait. Did you just say Star Trek prequels?
Da, 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 da.
Get out of my fucking podcast, you scrub!
I wonder if that had gone underneath the thing. I'd like to point out, mate, that I find the first Star Trek prequel movie to be good and the other two to be mediocre to bad.
So, writing about prequel endings, not anime here, but Halo Reach and Final Fantasy VII Crisis Core are my favourite prequel endings. They're both very similar.
I like the final mission of Halo Reach. Just survive, see how long you can get. We all die within the first 5 minutes. It's just what happens.
See, I did quite like Yahtzee Kershaw's comment on Reach there, where he's like, it's like, why is anyone being fussed about the story for this thing? The first shot of it is where you see your helmet discarded in the middle of a wasteland. What do you think you heroically take your helmet off?
That's true.
But I like prequels. I think that they, the thing which I like about them is the fact that I think it actually focuses the fucking plot, if you know what I mean.
I agree.
You sat there and you're like, you gotta have this ending, and here's your vague time span. For all the fucking bastardizations that the Star Wars prequels were, can you imagine if George Lucas didn't have a script to go to? Almost like the start was fixed, but the ending was unclear. Like the new trilogy, which is bad, and may end up being worse than the prequels. We don't even know. But at least
we'll see.
At least the prequels was by the end of this, we need man in black dildo suit. These children need to be born and have Obi-Wan.
And these children need to be dead.
Yeah, these children need to be dead, these ones don't, man in black dildo suit. Done, right? At least we've got that.
And you need to create the best and worst moment of the entire movie, where Darth Vader, one of the most threatening villains of all time, breaks out of his containment bed.
It says, do not want.
Screams, do not want. Yeah.
So I think prequels are fine. They can go wrong because people can get really I think the problem can happen when not paced correctly, where someone will go, I've got time, and then they realise,
oh wait, no, I don't.
I've got 2 episodes to marry up my fan fiction with black dildo suits. That's what you've got to work with. That doesn't work at all.
Episode 3 was fine.
Yeah, I'm not saying it wasn't. I'm alright with the prequels, actually. They're alright by me.
Yeah, is that the consensus around the entire podcast? We're all fine with them?
Yeah, I like prequels.
I'm fine with them. I think Attack of the Clones is the worst one, but
it is 100%.
Agreed.
I think prequels work when they are not being shoehorned just to get more money. If they've got an actual story to tell, that is fine. What I don't like is a prequel that just goes, we're going to do this because why not? I will be the one who says I think Rogue One is a bad movie because I don't think it has a story to tell. I just think it's gone, money, and just kind of expected it.
But
not to be unfortunate, but Fate Zero was made for the money because they already knew what happened during the events of Fate Zero. Gennaro Bucci wrote a book about what happened in the fucking prequel bits, and then Nitro Plus told him to make more money.
Yeah, but the point of the matter is, I'd argue that Fate Zero had a story to tell. Yes, we knew it was happening, but it wasn't just a.
Let's just be honest with ourselves. We don't mind prequels that don't have a story to tell when they're good. Let's just be honest with ourselves here. Quality is the only indicator. Let's be honest.
I mean, if that's true with anything, though. We like anything as long as it's good.
I think the general gist, though, is I like something which has a story to tell. If it doesn't have a story to tell, I'd argue for most of the time it doesn't have a place being there. Fate Zero, I would argue, does have a story to tell. It has the story of this Holy Grail War and how a lot of characters ended up in the positions they were. Yes, we know where they end up and all of that, but it's an interesting idea to see where did they go? Who is this mysterious Kuritsugu that we've heard so much about who has inspired our main character? What happened to Kirei that made him this evil, kind of disgusting character that we see? Was he like that to begin with, or did he develop into that? I think
who the fuck is the Golden Boy?
Yeah, who is the Golden Boy and why does he have immortality? Exactly. There was a story to tell there. It wasn't the most concrete story to tell, but there was a story to tell.
I think it was the most concrete story to tell, but I mean, they made the concrete afterwards. But
yes, that's the thing though. But Gennaro Bucci already written the book, so they're let's just adapt this for money. That's fine. You're allowed to adapt things for money.
But this is the thing, isn't it? I think there are just some strange prequels that just exist. Like, anime prequels are really, really rare. Like, you don't really get them.
Like Boruto's dad. No,
yeah,
wait.
yeah, exactly. Boruto's dad. No, but you don't get it. You get a lot of sequels. You don't get prequels. Like, and I know that's kind of in most media that exists. But what I mean is, like, with the exception of Fate Zero, I can't think of another anime prequel.
Steins Gate, yeah.
Steins Gate Zero.
Steins Gate Zero is not really
Is that
a
a prequel?
No, it's an alternate universe. It takes place. Spoilers. One route, not one route. One universe before the ending of Steins Gate 1. So it's not a kind of prequel. It's kind of an offshoot story explaining what happened, like slightly before it ended.
Okay. What about No Game No Life Zero? Is that a prequel?
Kind of.
Yes, because it details the fucking Angel War, doesn't it?
Yeah, I was gonna say, are we counting prequel movies? Because there's a fair few prequel movies.
I'll give you that one. Go on.
Also, Fairy Tail Zero is also a prequel.
Yeah, but it's Fairy Tail, so who cares?
There's a Kito the Exile to Code Geass fame. That's an example of a very, that's a Rogue One-esque thing where it bridges the gap between two seasons and it didn't need to.
I'm so glad that someone else has that opinion on Rogue One.
Well, hang on. Spoiler alert. You'll know, like, it literally. Listen, my favorite trivia about it. It's always said that Schneisel kicked the ass of the European Union from season 1 to season 2 to establish him as quite a big tactical genius for season 2. Spoiler alert! It was actually brainwashed Lelouch. So, which I always find the funniest.
I do,
but
never mind. It's just got some. Yeah, but it's just I can't think of a huge amount. Honestly, I'll give you those though. But
there's a couple Dragon Ball ones.
I think it's mainly movies. I'm struggling to think of any actual like series that.
I know this prequel manga. Like this prequel manga shit. Like
it's as we said, a prequel, like any kind of separate arc movie, is much easier to do. I think they do work better as movies because it's generally a concise story. You've already got your defined ending, and then they can just work around that. I think that format fits a lot better into your hour and a half, 2 hour things rather than your series.
We get a lot of time jump sequels. Time jump sequels are starting to become really, really popular, I've noticed recently. So Fooly Cooly did 2 time jump sequels. Ultraman has just done a time jump sequel. So that's starting to turn up a lot more often. So that's something that I'm kind of looking out for. I'd also like to point out, I watched the first episode of the new Ultraman anime after I said I probably was going to watch it. Do you know what? It's not very good.
Yeah, you know what? I guess just from 20 seconds of looking at the fucking thing.
Do you know what my favorite part of the first episode of Ultraman is?
What?
There's a bit where a kid falls off a banister and falls 3 stories, hits their head, and just starts crying. And then they're like, "Oh no, what the hell's happened?" At which point they turn around and go, "He's Ultraman!"
Look at him!
And that's the plot. The plot is the new Ultraman is the son of the old Ultraman, and he's got the powers through genetics. It's just a eugenics movie, and it's so weird.
I'm gonna be honest, I don't know jack shit about Ultraman.
You're the only one here who's mentioned eugenics. I'll say that right here, right now.
The only thing I've ever seen about Ultraman is the Japanizing beam, and is that an actual thing, or is that just a fan dub? Because if it was, that was great.
Yeah, no, the basic plot of the original Ultraman is Space Force comes down to Earth and takes over body of person to become Ultraman to fight bad guys. The guy then forgets that he is Ultraman, but retains the powers according to the show. It's very cult favorite Japanese thing, but it's kind of widely agreed to be a bit weird.
Gotcha.
Once you Japanizing beam, the Japanizing beam
it becomes tentacles.
I was gonna say it turns Korean.
Oh, I thought it was going to turn into the to Aru from Hitori Bochi doing the Gambaru Beamy, but there we go. That's a really I am all for the references that are just random and out of nowhere today, aren't I?
Very much. So.
Yeah.
So as I mentioned before, I've been going through
win in a fight.
Who would?
I will shut up now. Sorry.
as I mentioned before, I've been going through my time machine of older animes, and I've been going through Recreators at the moment. Like that's my current thing I'm watching too. Again, I know it's only 2 years old, but I should have been watching that as it came out. And
dude, I love Artorial Answer.
Yes, yeah, all right. Yeah. But my favorite thing about it is its soundtrack. Like, I mean, I know I've talked about music and anime so many times. I bring up
Sawano soundtrack is
exactly Hiroyuki Sawano, but my main thing is it's got a wonderful blend of instrumental and vocal pieces in the actual anime. Where do we all stand on vocal pieces in anime? Because very few animes really put them in, and I will say you're fine to include showing your opening song like during a really pivotal point.
Yeah. That's anime shorthand for we need some hype. Push that thing onto the.
I mean, to be fair, it works well. I like it.
It's a trope. It's an effective trope. But I'm talking about your actual lyrical, makes sense songs in the middle of anime. So not your Sword Art Online. We put in a choir because it sounds really cool. Because again, that's also anime shorthand for let's build tension. It shows a really powerful scene. Just how do you think they mesh with with characters talking, dialogue, the general setting? Do you think it takes it away? Do you think it should just be instrumental, or do you think that there's situations where you think it really adds to it? And if you can, try and give an example.
It's definitely a I would argue that those sort of things either work in really, really calm, kind of somber moments where you have like a really kind of low down, kind of slow instrumental and vocalization one that again Recreators does a lot of, or it works really well when you're going full on hype and it's just going and like properly screaming at it. Again, what Recreators
You've posed a very good question here, Joe.
That is a really good
I need to quit Alastair stall for time. I need to think.
Who would win in a fight? No.
I mean, if you want me to give a couple of my examples just to give you like kind of context for what I'm thinking.
Sorry.
Because I think a really great moment for it, emotional wise, are things like your Cowboy Bebop style, where it's the episode 5, Out of Fallen Angels, the falling out the window, slow motion in the rain playing.
Greenbird.
Greenbird, thank you.
Yeah.
And it's just like you've got like during that segment, no words, just that slow motion falling, beautiful imagery, and the track playing in the background. That's where I think.
Yeah, there are words. It's an Italian choir.
No, I meant like no characters, dialogue, nothing to come over the voice.
Oh yeah, sorry, my bad. Yeah, my bad.
I think that during an emotional part, having no dialogue and having your vocal piece works really, really well. Not to say you can't have instrumental ones with nothing happening and just the visuals being anything, but I think that's the best part for them. In action sequences, I think it depends very much on your style of action. If you're going for an American style, Hollywood style action, where you've got your characters, they'll have their fight, but they'll be making quips the entire time, talking a lot, doing stuff like that. Then I think you want your instrumental pieces. Sure, they can be bombastic, have lots of sound effects, mesh with everything that's going on around them. If you're having a character's serious fight or like a one character army kind of thing, then I think it works out a lot more for the Hong Kong style action, where you just have a character just go through. Well, not even so much. Yeah, you sure they'll yell and do stuff like that, but they'll go through their entire fight scene. There will be maybe one break throughout the entire thing, and then they'll go again. I think that works for your really vocal things. And again, we've said this. Recreators does this really well. They'll start with the opening to a song like Layers or God of Ink, and it'll just go. It's a really bombastic start. They start really loud, right in your face. Then they tone it down before you get to the main chorus. The characters will stop. They talk for a few seconds, bring in the views of each character's thing, like what's their emotional conflict is, and then they'll get back to fight and they'll go right into the chorus, bring the energy right back up, and that keeps going until they're finished. Like it's just one thing. Fights in Recreators really short, all great, because they only have that one break and then they're done.
I'd say this is kind of like a really obvious one, but I think it is one that is really, really effective, and there's a reason why it's arguably the most iconic vocal track in anime. It is from Gurren Lagann.
ReZero Fight the Power.
Yeah, well, what's the actual I can't remember what the actual
Liberty Me from Hell.
That's the one. It's just so effective. It just
do you
works.
mean
the opening or Roro Fight the Power?
No. Roro Fight the Power.
Liberate me from hell.
Yeah, Liberate Me from Hell. It's such a good one. It works so incredibly well. I'd argue that Gainax knew how to use vocal tracks, because the two I'm going to go for, there's that, and there's also Come Sweet Death from End of Evangelion, which is which is my favorite scene in anime ever, and I'd argue one of the most effective scenes in film ever, and that is all to a vocal soundtrack.
Do I dare give my really, really unfortunate opinion of it depends?
I think it depends.
Right. Let me lay down my hypothesis here. Right. Okay. So, as a frequent dungeon master, both in terms of my hobbies and my sex life, I like to play music. I like to play music a fair bit. During all my encounters, and as the people here know, because I play myself, I never use anything with vocals. I just don't. Yep. It's a policy of mine, because the vocals will always come in inopportune time when you're trying to talk, and they can be distracting. So I think that when you're trying to not distract the viewer, that is fine. Then you can. They don't have any vocals, right? You can actually see this in Ruby, of all things, where the later Ruby songs, when it becomes more Americanized, don't have any lyrics. Meanwhile, pretty much all of the character themes in Ruby, Red Like Roses comes to mind, all have words to them, and that was, of course, back when the show was more Hong Kong action, right? So there's your two elements for that. If there is no dialogue, then it doesn't matter, and you can add as many vocals as you want to, which I know we've already heard some examples. An interesting one from an anime I recently saw was Phantom Requiem of the Phantom, which included fucking throat singing in it. But that's where the voice is used more as an instrument, as opposed to the lyrics being able to direct the feelings of the viewer.
I give that the same kind of thing as your choir style. Like,
they're
not saying real words.
Yeah. You're not supposed to listen to the words, right? And then you got like Cowboy Bebop, where like they slowly drain out the words. The last effect, which I think is the most complex one, is where you have words, but they're used to direct the viewer in addition to dialogue going on. So I'm trying to think, because like for example with Gurren Lagann, they play the song and it's got the dialogue going in the background while the characters are talking. You're supposed to pay attention to both, but you've been used to the songs for the entire show, so it's fine. But also the words are used to direct the pacing and the action. And a slightly odd one here is Me Me Me, which is where the lyrics are fucking haunting for that entire experience. And the point is
that they're very much part of it.
They drag the character through hell, even while stuff is happening on the screen that you should be paying attention to. And the bit which really gets me with that is the thing which like in the music is between the second and third verse of that song, the main character just screams. Like, he just screams to the camera when his body's being fixed. And he does that, and then the vocals stop, because the focus is no longer on what the singer is having to say, but instead, let's hear what the character has to say. And he says, ah! And he just fucking screams down the fucking microphone. So I think it's a question of focus, and the music just being used to lead the viewer's attention.
Specifically
basically.
With your things like Me, Me, Me and Gurren Lagann, I think it's a weird one in the fact that we're almost at an advantage in the fact that, barring Hugh, we don't speak Japanese, in the fact that we read the subtitles, hear the music, and we can actually differentiate them very easily. I think if it was purely if I fluently spoke Japanese, that was my main language, not English, and I was just listening to that raw, I don't think I'd be able to differentiate the music and the text as well, and I'd probably try and focus on one more than the other and miss parts of it. The fact that it's subtitled actually I think helps it sometimes.
It's very rare that you actually get a subtitled song though.
But when it does happen,
that's very common in old fucking fan dubs, isn't it?
Yeah, it really is.
But yeah, it just happens sometimes, and I think it does help with that kind of thing.
But then you got something like, say, Code Geass, where they'll play Fatherland in the background, but they'll quiet it down, but that is definitely English words happening, and I watched the thing in English as well. I think we're just okay at tuning out the background music. Again, it's just a question of focus and actually having a decent audio mixer. I think is all, really.
I mean, the only because I was terrible at thinking of examples of this. I mean, the one that definitely came to mind was the end of Evangelion, which is fucking amazing.
Yep.
A lot of the ones that came to mind for me are ones where they they kind of use it, and then it phases into the actual ending song of the show, and it's a different, like, they use a different ending song for that episode. For me, the big one for that is ReZero, when it has that one. I can't remember which episode number it is, but
episode 15. It was
the one where he gets beheaded by
Requiem of Silence.
Yeah, where he's just beheaded, and then the song just starts playing over just him, like, stood there with his head cut off.
Yeah.
Same with Devilman Crybaby and Miki the Witch, when it's just the motorbike scene. Like, that episode is a similar thing. Very, very good usage of it.
Yeah. I think it's all just a question of focusing the viewer's attention. I think really is what it comes to. Because even with like Evangelion, like the end of Evangelion is meant to be like chaos because it's Tang Nation, and you've got characters who are yelling, screaming, begging for their lives, and the music keeps on going, and Shinji screams because he goes mad at some point. And I think the point of the music at that point is like, no, keep coming. We're dragging everyone down. Don't stop paying attention. Like, yeah.
The other one that I also thought of is actually Toradora does an interesting one during its Christmas episode. Is because the Christmas episode ends with its mass. That's basically when there's a big tonal shift in the show. Everything starts, you start an episode off very happy, and the episode ends off very depressing and sad. And the thing that it does on the ending, and as the final scenes of the show are playing, the song that two of the girls sung early at the Christmas party starts playing again over the scenes. So you're kind of like, at the same time as you're seeing all of the main characters be depressed, you're getting this reminder of how happy they were like 10 minutes ago. And then that phases into and then becomes the ending of the show, where you just see that play over snowflakes falling, and it's just like you just get left to sit there and ponder on what you've just seen and the emotions you've just witnessed. And I think that's kind of like when it works, when it's like it's helping you feel emotions, essentially.
I remember a show that had the complete opposite problem, where it did really, really depressing stuff and then forgot to change itself in order to suit that depressing stuff. I can't even remember what it was called. It aired in 2016 summer, and at the end of like the second episode of it, I'll try and find what it's called later on, but no one really cares. At the end of the second episode, the main character's sister just gets annihilated by some sort of giant creature. Literally, they're standing there and like, I can't believe we beat that giant creature. At which point, a giant creature hand just goes boom and annihilates her. Just instant, never see her again. And they repeat that at the beginning of the next episode, of like showing it, and this guy going, "Oh my god, this is awful! I can't. This is evil." And then the opening starts, and it's sort of super happy, and she's dancing in the opening.
Yeah.
And she's like, and she's like really, really happy and dancing, and like she's like being really cute. And I'm like, she's just been annihilated. Like, either you're tonally screwed, or you didn't realize what you were doing.
That would have been the episode where you do the traditional, we don't have an opening for this episode, and just show the fucking title card.
Or just have a different opening, like a show with some kind of passion would have done.
Yeah. I think your order's out of the way there, Hugh. I think it was totally fucked because they had no idea what they were doing.
Yeah, probably. It was one of those ones, I remember just watching that episode. It's literally the episode I watched. It sat in Heathrow waiting to go to Japan. That episode happened, and I laughed out loud, and people started looking at me weirdly.
Oof.
And I had to just kind of turn around and like try and act like I was completely normal while just stood in this just really weird situation. I'm a mad human being. What do you expect?
Yeah.
So speaking of tone, this kind of leads on to a thing that I was the one thing that I thought of to discuss. What do you think about things? Well, I'll start with like recently I've been reading a lot of manga because there isn't much anime to watch this season because it's not very good. So I've been reading
Quillilia Code. It's called Quillilia Code. Do continue.
I been reading a lot of manga, and one of the manga I'm currently reading is a stuff that I started a while back, but I'm reading it as the physical books come out. Which is My Monster Secret. Now, this especially the anime and the beginning of the manga.
Can we give it its proper name of Jitsuwa Watashiwa, please?
No.
Fuck off, you weeaboo.
Hey, as someone who's read the entire thing when it finished a year ago,
I think you'll find that its native tongue is known as What the Nanny Chronicles.
We still call Attack on Titan, not Shingeki no Kyojin.
It's called What the Nanny Chronicles. I think you'll find.
I won't spoil it for you, Alastair. I also really, really like this because I have read the entire thing. Continue.
So I that's one of those things where the story and the show or the manga starts off looking like it's going to be harem
Generic
comedy ecchi show thing, but then sort of as you keep reading it and you go through, and especially towards the halfway point, it becomes really emotional when confessions start happening and rejections start happening and all of this sort of stuff, that it actually becomes a really emotional story. So my thing was, what do you guys think about shows that have tonal shifts halfway through?
Dangerous fucking game.
Very much so.
That is always my opinion on tonal shifts. They're rarely worth it. I found very rarely worth it.
Agree.
Are we talking sudden tonal shifts like in Madoka Magica style, or are we talking gradual, call this a weird one, Bloodborne style of gradual? We know something's going to change, and then it happens, and we just go with it, kind of thing.
I mean, we can discuss both. I mean, both are worth discussing.
My go-to one for tonal shift, again, call this a slightly off the ball one, is Angel Beats. Like, your first 3 episodes are just a kind of okay, so this is an afterlife kind of death where people just goof around, have fun, and occasionally die again, blow up, fall into a river, chasing a teddy bear kind of thing. And then we get the scene with the girl from the Guild the Monster, the band, just plays her song and goes. Suddenly, okay, no, there's something happening here. People are moving on. This is the new characters brought something that wasn't here before, and it kind of goes from there. Yeah, they do kind of retain the old it keeps going with the comedy, fun style stuff. But there's it's kind of an underpass of a tonal shift there, which I really found quite engaging.
I will agree with you, Lewis.
I'm perfectly happy for debate here. Go right ahead. I will.
Right. So,
who will win the
Alright, first of all, if you talk to me or my son Madoka Magica and group it with that filth again, I'll fucking... fuck, I don't know.
Lewis, I am 4 episodes into Madoka. It's just my time. It's in my time machine right now.
Madoka Magica never had a tonal shift. Madoka Magica always had that tone. People were just too stupid to notice it.
Okay, right. Notice it, but
so no. Hugh, come on. People weren't stupid to notice it. Everyone thought it was just a standard fucking show, right? Come on, calm the fuck down.
If you didn't know it was going to be what it was by the end of the first episode,
it's not the fucking Black King. Calm the fuck down, right?
Still.
So
I know what it is because people have talked about it.
Right. Hugh's being all historical revisionist. Hugh, I've only watched anime for the past 9 months, is it, or whatever, bitch?
10 months, please.
Nah, at the fucking time, no one it was a genuine surprise. Madoka Magica was a genuine surprise.
Alright, fair enough. I would argue watching that first episode, it tonally seems dark, considering the first thing we see is dark alleyways, this weird creature running through. Anyway, go on.
Alright, here's the deal.
Alright, here's the 411, folks.
Here's the 411. Say some gangsters messing with your tone, you just give them a bit of consistency, right? That's the thing which people are mixing up, okay? Changing tone is fine. School Live flips its tone, okay? Right? I don't know if you guys have seen School Live or School Live or not, right?
Because it flipped it and then kept it.
Basically, a character's mental in a zombie apocalypse and thinks everything is fine. It's not. It's a really good shift, okay?
Yeah, so, it's an excellent first episode.
Tone is very important to my heart because basically, right. So you've got tone in Angel Beats flips on and off on a fucking dime. It's effective, but only for shock value. The problem with Angel Beats is that it is not consistent.
It goes, haha, funny, really depressing. Haha, funny, really depressing. And that doesn't work.
Its internal logic and internal rules don't match up. Madoka Magica is very internally consistent. For Christ's sake, the whole thing is based off of rules. The whole thing is literally about Cube creating the rules, right? So that's consistent. Then you've got say for example, the vampire shift that you're talking about, like Alastair. Are you talking about the show? Like, fucking, it depends on how consistent it is, because if it flips tone randomly, then that's not good. If it flips tone, but it still remains consistent with the world's expectations, it can get away with it. Most people forget about internal consistency when it comes to tone. That is the most important ingredient when it comes to creating the tone, like the tone recipe, as it were. The reason it fucks up is because people think tonal shift means you can abandon your internally consistent rules. That's why Ruby's tonal shifts suck dick, because the writers forgot about the internally consistent rules that Monty set up. And they couldn't know the rules, but anyway, that's a whole other debate for another day, right?
Next podcast.
Something like say Fate Zero flips tone very well, because there is actually quite funny bits with it. That's like Ryder and things like that, right? But Ryder also shows a range of emotion, and he's also quite a decent fighter. He's consistent. He is a fucking nail in the wall, where his character doesn't change no matter what the tone does.
See, I almost find that oxymoronic in the fact that I don't think there's a huge amount of tonal shift in Fate at all, especially Fate Zero. I think it is completely consistent with its tone. Every character is always true to what they're supposed to do. Maybe that's a flaw. It's not even a flaw, but maybe that's just a showing the fact that like it's so character driven. It focuses so much on each one. Yes, Ryder's got his goofy parts. I think that's just like almost just like his way of just bringing the audience just in with just like, no, like we're all still here to have fun. This is a show, and it is just his character. He is there to be the king of people. Like he rules. As we're going back to the king's meeting here, he rules to have fun and be that, you know, king of everything else. Whereas you got Artori, always fucking serious and all that shit, and Gilgamesh, who's just, you know, again similar but different in his own way. I think that's just. I don't see that as an example. Sorry, no. Please elaborate more on it, please. Like, actually, I'm really.
Can do, yeah. I mean, right. I mean, can do. I mean, like, well, like. It all comes down to a definition of a tonal shift as well, because, like, you know, one man's tonal shift is another man's inconsistency. Because, like, I'm just trying to think of, like, right, like, let's go for a moment to Fate Zero, right? Here is the same character, okay, right? Karya greets, you know, fucking, you know, is it his sister? Is all? Yeah, it's like, anyway, it's his sister, has a good time with fucking Rin, okay? That is an interaction with Rin. Rin later on in the series goes on and has Rin's big adventure where she foils a fucking serial killer of children. That serial killer of children murders a child at one point with Bluebeard by dragging it into a fucking like tentacle monster. Bluebeard, then at another point, has a sequence where he talks about how God is some great big player on a stage and talks about the fact that how everything's a comedy and how he wants to fuck, you know, Saber. Saber, for her part, then also at some point drinks tea and has a good time with Ariasvale. That's all consistent. I've just described 5 different tones that series goes for.
But it knew what it was doing, like.
But it was consistent. That's the point. None of those things are outside the bounds of what any of those characters could do. We have got child murder, you know, a little girl's big adventure in the city, a character having a sweet moment with his sister, so on, right? But, like, those are different tones. They're very different tones. There's no bit, admittedly, where strings begin to get plucked and it goes like, oh, well, time for us to have our weird adventure down at the beach. Unlimited Blade Works perhaps has that problem. But then again, it gets with it as well, because there's, you know, there's Shiro's and Rin's big date in the city, and Saber's mad at losing at baseball. That's a different tone, but it's still internally consistent with those characters. What we would be saying is if the random string started playing and then Saber turned around and blushed when her bikini got taken off at the fucking, you know, beach or whatever, and then, like, you know, we'd play for like tit jokes, that would be horribly inconsistent. The same tone, but horribly inconsistent, and that would have ruined it.
Okay.
So yeah, consistency is the core of tone, because you can change your tone on a dime if you are very consistent. Gurren Lagann has got, you know, the manliest character ever, let's be honest, dies in probably the worst way possible. But like, no, but the point is, he dies like a bitch. He gets backstabbed. Like, that's it. He's done. Like, he's one-outed. He's the big macho man. He gets backstabbed. But no one hates him for it in the way they'd hate another character, because it's very consistent. It's the series that's got a fucking, you know, Hot Springs episode where they go into a mech that is a fucking great big spa. Girls pull out machine guns and then take the fucking wee chimeras hostage. Then a few episodes' time, bro gets fucking stabbed in the back. this is the same show. It's tonally different, but it is consistent.
And that is the point. Like, I'd argue that a shift in tone works only, like you say, when you still keep that established rule set in with it. My monster secret, I'll call it by its normal name, I'd argue doesn't have I'd argue doesn't have tonal shifts. I'd argue it consistently keeps the comedy, because every so often it does some kind of confession or change, but it doesn't change the shift in the tone. It simply uses that as a joke. So there is a gag towards the end of the manga about your main character being a vampire, and kind of what that means. And it starts off by being played as a really serious point, and then a chapter later is immediately used as one of the best punchline jokes in the entire show. As long as you are consistent in what you are doing, a tone shift doesn't matter. As long as that tone shift essentially works towards the show itself. My Monster Girlfriend changes tone and then uses that shift of tone to immediately flip back into comedy. It uses the drama to make the comedy funnier.
Yeah, the thing that I was trying to bring up with that manga in particular was that it was the fact that from the start, I would say the start of the manga starts off very much. There's a lot of comedy, and I would say there isn't, like, at the very start, there isn't that much that's like emotionally heavy. Like, it's not like there's not a lot of emotional weight to it. Whereas the more as you go through the manga, the further through you get, the more emotionally heavy it gets.
It's almost as if because you're getting used to the characters, they think they can start banking it a little bit more. It's like, let's think of a show that did that this year. Oh, Love is War. Started off as a complete comedy, then starts banking on drama because we're getting used to the characters and they think they can cash it in a little bit. That's how it works. Like, that's just basic storytelling. We go a bit more emotional when you know the characters. Because if the first chapter was a super emotional chapter, no one would care.
Unless you were looking for a super emotional show, but yeah.
But that's the thing, like, a super emotional show won't be super emotional to begin with. Most of the time, a super emotional show builds up to it. I can only think of one show that ever did super emotional within the first, 10 minutes. And weirdly, it was a show called Kotori-san, which ended up being a comedy. In the first, the show was about a girl with psychic powers and it's ruining her life and she hates it. And the first 10 minutes is just her going around being depressed and you finding out how this has ruined her life. And then within on the 12-minute mark spot on, it immediately becomes a comedy because someone turns up and brightens her life up and suddenly the entire thing is rendered in color as opposed to dark browns and grays and blacks and blues. And you're like, oh, we actually know what we're doing. And it just works. So a lot of the time, we don't get emotional to begin with. We go emotional later on when we know characters.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, I guess I can agree to that. It's kind of an opposite tonal shift, but I mean, you'll have plenty to talk about this one. But with Darker Than Black, I suppose, it's like we get the whole contractors are emotionless, purely logical stuff. We do find plenty of comedy situations with that show, don't we?
Oh yeah, particularly through the eyes of Hugh's favorite character.
Sorry, what?
Oh.
Your favorite character in Darker Than Black, you daft bastard.
Oh yeah, I love Guy.
Yeah, Guy. And but yeah, I'd again put that into consistency. It's like the first episode. It's the first episode where Hay takes the fucking girl who's running away in the park, gives her a kiss. It's like, yeah, okay, let's go stars together. And then it just zooms in on his face as he slowly loses all the color in his eyes, starts to stare, then frown. And it's like, okay, all right, this guy's a spy. And again, consistency, it's just consistency. Everyone acts exactly the way they should, which means that you can get away with tonal shifts.
Yeah, I'm starting to. Yeah, okay. No, you guys are right. Fuck it.
we were just making points.
I'm happy to make this one. I'm happy to be proved wrong.
I think the thing is that tonal shifts. It depends when, because if you'll probably find you'll have tonal shifts, but if they're within the bounds of the character and they make sense in the sense of this is what if you look at yourselves from this character's perspective and that's what they would do, then yes, it is a tonal shift, but you don't notice it because it makes sense. Whereas if you just put in a tonal shift for the sake of putting in a tonal shift without actually having it planned, it feels jarring and odd.
It's inconsistent.
Yeah, no, I think you guys are right. I'm coming around to that. But yeah, shock value works maybe the first time 50% of the time, 50% of the time, but
There's a place for shock value. The place where you have to go, like, be careful. I enjoy your company, but you're trying my patience. Shock value is where there's shock value when, like, right. A good version of shock value is going back to Bleach of all things, when Aizen does his fucking heel turn and he fucking jumps the fuck out.
I love the fact that I don't think either of us have ever watched Bleach properly. I don't know about Alastair or Hugh.
God, no. I stay away from that thing like a barning fire.
But we both know exactly the point we're talking about because it's so famous.
There's a lovely old chubby man, for those who don't know, called Aizen, who wears glasses, has got lovely like mop top basically, and he's found dead at the end of an episode. But then he does one of the most out of nowhere heel turns in anime. Takes off his glasses, slicks back his hair, somehow loses like 60 pounds. Like,
I've seen this.
He basically turns into Virgil, like from Devil May Cry.
Just by slicking back his hair, and he turns into like a weird butterfly thing. But the point is that like that's a real like shift in the character, because he then turns into a real stone cold fucking murderer. Like he begins to murder the fuck out of people. But
the thing was, 100 episodes or so, or whatever.
And that was shock value. But the point is that it was consistent because the author could turn around and go, "Yeah, he was a spy. You didn't know otherwise." And like, doesn't it make sense?
He's good at his job.
And it's like, yeah, I guess that does make sense. So as long as you can reason it away, shock value is fine. The issue with shock value becomes, A, when you try to repeat it and you're like, okay, yeah, we're ready for it now. That's not what happens to like M. Night Shyamalan films now, where everyone's expecting 100%. Shock value, so you lose all shock value. One might argue that, inconsistency is therefore the problem there. But the other thing is that, your shock value only goes so far, because it's one of those things where, like, shock value works when you've got a reason to explain it, or if you're good enough, people don't realize what you've done. But everyone always figures out eventually when someone goes, "Yeah, but why did that happen? Why did this happen?" You go, "Yeah, what?" Like,
I thought that was the point you were building to with Aizen, because the fact, like, yeah, we had that amazing heel turn, and like I say, one of the most famous points down in the fact that people like us who have never watched Bleach properly know what it is, and that later on, hundreds of episodes later, he was the original exactly as planned character.
Yeah, then they ruin it, because the thing is
they kept going with the same thing and expected,
and that's what ruins it. Whereas they did it quickly enough first time round that it caught everyone just enough by surprise that they didn't have to explain themselves. The fact they kept doing it meant that you went, "Yeah, what?" Like, and then you're after explanations.
Yeah, shock value just also doesn't work when you shove too much of it in all at once, and everyone just kind of starts to get a bit used to it, or when it happens so over the top that people ask, "Well, why is it so far over the top?" I'd argue one of the biggest problems, one of the biggest shows that does that is Magical Girl Site, where the first episode, I'm pretty sure you can play generic shock factor bingo with it that includes such things as suicide by train, shoes, suicidal thoughts, beaten by the family, beaten by bullies, nearly killed, drowned,
Itadakimasu rapist.
Yeah, exactly. There's so much, and I'm just like, this no longer works. Because number one, there's too much of it, and number two, the first edgy thing you ever see is a shoe that is literally packed to the brim with razor blades, and I'm like, who in their right minds at any point does that? Like, even school bullies don't go, "What are you going to do today?" "I'm going to spend £50 on razor blades and shove them in someone's shirt."
No one has that kind of pocket money.
No. Anyway, sorry, Alastair.
No, I was going to say, like, that show, I can't remember much about the first episode, considering we turned it into a drinking game that one time, so...
When you say we
watched that. We watched that at the uni, didn't we? That was good.
Yeah, it was your session of Anime After Dark where we turned the first episode of Magical Girl Site into a drinking game.
I just tweeted it at Lewis on my own.
The only anime session of Anime After Dark.
Should I put that in my time machine as a shit anime to watch?
No,
right. Put it like this, buddy. We'll watch the first episode together. The next time we're together, and that's done.
That's enough.
Okay.
And then you're done. You don't need to see the rest of it. But yeah, well, that's the thing as well, because then at that point, you're doing too many shocks, then you begin to question it, and that's when the shock value falls apart. This has been a lovely conversation on tone.
Speaking about shock value, we're done!